Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name. Etheria restart again today. We're getting there. It's close, only a couple more days. So I figured it's time to talk about which characters you should be aiming for. I am using the Purdwin.gg tier list. I don't necessarily agree with everything perfectly on it, but this is a great way to just kind of articulate what I want to talk about. I have played the game myself a decent amount, but I didn't get to play every character, so I am going to listen to them when it comes to some characters, but I am definitely going to be inserting my own opinions as well. So we are going to go over each category, and I'm going to go over what I think your number one higher rarity unit should be, you know, your SSR, and then your number one lower rarity unit, what they should be. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So number one, we're going to start on sustain because I think DPS is the most exciting, and so we're going to start at the boring one. So sustain, I'm going to be real with you. In my entire multi-week playthrough before the closed beta, the most recent beta, I did not use a sustain, I think even once, to clear all my content. It's just not it's not how I play, and it never was necessary even once. I'm not saying that it's not necessary going forward, but just so you know, I have very little experience in this category specifically. Now, I am going to assume we're all getting Ling Luo for free as part of the launch event, so you really just don't need to even reroll for her. Don't worry about trying to get her. She is part of like the 7-day event. I believe when you clear all the 7 days of events, you will get her. Hellkit, again, this is a little awkward because he is sustained, he's listed here as, but he's really a PvP, but I think he's self-sustained. So honestly, there's only really one like higher rarity unit that you might need to worry about, and that's Mia. But I don't really know Mia that well. I don't know if she was even in the version I was playing, or I never saw anyone use her anyway. But honestly, if you get Sania, this is the one category where I don't really think you even need to worry about SSRs. Sania is incredibly good and works especially well with Tiamat. So I would recommend getting Sania because a lot of characters are going to be going for Tiamat, and I think that this is one of the best pairings with her. Now, support is one where I have to kind of seed a little bit of what I think for the tier list. So I used Freya, and I was super impressed with her. She felt kind of busted. However, I did not ever use Lily. I did not get her. And they are putting Lily at tier 0 on all fronts as a support. And so I am going to say aim for Lily, although because one, Freya is the banner unit, right? So it's going to be very easy to get her with your pulls. You don't really need to re-roll aiming for her. But Lily is also a dark unit, meaning that they are likely going to be harder to obtain in the long run. And they put her as better. I think that's, you know, probably subjective. She probably is insane. I just haven't used her. But being a dark unit and being like considered better by this tier list, I would aim for her. And Lily, you're going to be able to get her pretty easily from the launch banner. However, I'm telling you, Chiaki here, the Echo, this unit carried me in she did everything. This was my best unit on my account, I feel like. And I had Tiamat, all right? I mean, maybe not literally the best, but this unit was so good. This is like main team. You should build this SR for sure. I think it's very reasonable that she might be better than Doki Doki, which sounds crazy, but she just gives your team so much advance, and you just get so many turns so fast. She's fast. She is gonna make your team go super quick. So if you pull her, don't overlook her. You should build her and put her on some teams. Absolutely one of my personal favorite units in the game, if not literally my favorite unit. So debuff, I actually think is going to be the hardest to accurately say exactly where you want, because debuff has an extra issue where they need accuracy, and if you're going up against an enemy of a different element, like if you're going against the element that's strong against you, then you have like a negative 50% accuracy. So you do want to make sure you're using debuff units that are ideally strong versus what you're using. However, it seems to be clear here, Heinrich, they're putting at the top of the debuff for every single one, and he's a dark unit. So if you get this unit, you should be very happy. However, I do want to give an honorable mention here to Klaus, because they are putting Klaus very high up. And Doki Doki is arguably the most important stage to be able to farm incredibly well. because they have all the like the skill cooldown and the speed gear sets. This is going to give you some of the best gear sets in the game, at least in the early days. I'm sure as you get more and more time, that they will become worse as you can get other more powerful skill sets. But just getting a bunch of speed in the early game, if you have more speed than your opponent, you're going to win early on. So this is going to be very, very important to farm for a pretty decent amount of time. So I think Klaus does get an honorable mention here. However, Heinrich seems to be like, everyone's like, oh, he's amazing and everything. However, who I used Dina. Dina was my go-to. She just was so good. She puts like so many different debuffs on him. She could do like, you know, she could kind of advance, but she could also delay. And then she could do like, it's both like defense down, but then like another stack that increases damage, like crit damage or something. There was like, it's hard for me to remember everything, but there was like an attack that did, if they have this, you know, apply this debuff and it hits like 4 times. If they have that debuff, apply this debuff. If they have both of those debuffs, apply this third debuff. So she would just do a ton, and it was AoE, very powerful. So that is the character I used, Dina. I would highly recommend you build her as well. And I didn't mention it before, but I do want to give a quick honorable mention to Chachi here. This guy's freaking badass. I think he's the only one with a direct, like, give a character an extra turn. That is a very powerful skill, especially for like speed running maps potentially. If you have one super jacked character that is like clearing the entire map, this character just gives them an extra turn, lowers their skill cooldowns by a turn. So in the support category, I personally did build this character. Maybe there are other characters that are just way better, but I'm telling you, I had a lot of success building this character, and he had a really badass delay as well. It was great. DPS, here we go. So I want to, you know, before we even jump into it, I want to give an honorable mention to Leon, right? This is the free character we're all getting. Leon is absolutely badass. Super good in all kinds of content. Apparently bad at Doki Doki, which actually leads me to believe that getting characters that are good in Doki Doki are extra good, because it's like they knew that they had put the speed sets on the map that your starting really powerful legendary is not good at. So it's going to be harder for you to grind that than normal. Although she could still do it for a while, but it's definitely not what you want. So, I mean, they're pretty clear here with Messiah and Rosa, like all the way across. So if you want to follow the tier list, I would say you're going for Messiah. Rosa is considered better according to this tier list, but Messiah is a light unit, so you'd probably want to go for Messiah. Plus, he's very, very cool. However, I do want to give, I think Tiamat is probably the best unit on maybe in the entire game. So I know that they're not like absolutely, you know, gonna destroy everything in one shot. They're not necessarily the most fancy unit, but I mean, she has so much self-sustain. She's got the ability to defend your entire party. She's got the taunt. She has a very powerful, she can transform and get these really powerful attacks. It's honestly just such a good unit on every team always. It feels fantastic. Tiamat is a unit that I am going to be re-rolling for first and foremost. I want her on every team. One, I like her playstyle. She pairs very well with Victor, which is a unit we'll talk about in a second. So overall, just honestly, Tiamat, I think, is probably my #1 re-roll target. Although, if you are going to follow the tier list, I would say Messiah, then Rosa. But also, you know, if you look at PvP, they're putting Tiamat way up there. Although they're putting her in the sustain category. But still, Tiamat does kind of jump around because she is so good at pretty much everything. This is a unit that is like, she supports, she tanks, she could debuff a little bit, she does good damage, she self-sustains, absolutely trivializes a lot of early game content. And I'm sure as you get into more specific team builds in the late game, she will be replaced by maybe specific well-built units, but she is so generically powerful at so many things that I think you should be going for Tiamat. Now, in a similar vein, I actually think Victor here is going to be very good. One, if you just look at this guy, look how fucking good he is at everything. But I mean, you could look at a lot of characters, right? Gray, I think, is very good. You don't worry about him because you get him for free. And there's going to be a lot of good characters, but Victor has something that no one else has, man. He pairs well with Tiamat because he absorbs his own HP. But when you use this kid, he's basically a single target DPS. He is maybe one of the best single target DPSs in the game. He has no AoE attack. He has an attack that hit, like his basic attack hits something 3 times with a shovel, and his ultimate attack hits him 4 times with a shovel, right? But it does more damage. And then he gives himself a big shield, and then if he's low on HP, he can attack and get lifesteal basically and heal back up, and then kind of keep the whole process going. He could be an unkillable single target DPS tank. This was the most tanky character on my team almost every single time that I had him on my team, and he absolutely wrecked Terror Motion here. This guy right here, the guy that has like the 2 snakes or whatever, he absolutely destroyed this thing, bro. He would go up and just hit him for half his life, even on like Nightmare or whatever. I mean, of course, as you get further in. So for farming certain boss stages very fast, I think Victor is going to be number 1. He's very bad in stages that are centered around AoE, and not bad in the sense that he's like super weak, but he doesn't have any AoE, right? So it's going to take a long time to clear those stages. So I honestly, Victor is by far my favorite purple in the game, followed by Chiaki. But I mean, they're both good. I mean, all the purples have very specific purposes that they're good in, but really, I'm telling you, man, don't sleep on Victor. Don't expect him to one-shot the entire screen, but he is going to slap the shit out of some bosses. That's gonna do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. I'm kind of interested what units you're aiming for. What are the units that I maybe didn't mention that you're like, you're really underselling this unit, Plat? This unit is insane. And what are, did I say any units that you think I overrated? I'm kind of interested to hear your opinions on it. Anyway, much love for Platypus, for Ploutapus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
On the rise, watch the views go up. Content king, never down, always showing up. Hitting milestones, the fame never lets up. Click that link.